Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, Kyle? You made coasters that crashed on purpose? So did everybody else. Good job, Kyle. DarbyCast, Economics Wednesday. And you know what I'm thinking about? Truly. This guy's named Darren. Darren. How have you not run out of energy yet, Darren? We know Darren. Oh boy, do we. Old Darren Areno. What does Darren go by? What did Darren's friends call him? Dare? Dare to dream? Dare? I don't know. I don't have any friends named Darren. I think everybody who's listening to this is like, yeah, me neither. Whew. If you're a DarbyCast doctor, if you're listening to this right now, you probably don't have a friend named Darren. So that doesn't mean I'm not going to continue talking about Darren, though. Let me tell you a little bit about Darren. Let's give a little backstory on Darren. When Darren was a youth, he was a hall monitor. He was deputized by Vice Principal Dion Stanley to make sure that everything stayed on the level in the halls and make sure nothing went afoul. And Darren took a lot of pride in that. Darren wasn't good at sports. Surprise, surprise. Darren was also not intelligent. No surprise there either. So what did Darren decide to do? Become a tyrant at the behest of Vice Principal Dion Stanley. Middle school vice principals. You got to love the middle school vice principal office. Do you not? The nonsensical inspirational posters hanging in the office. It's like a picture of a bald eagle flying and it just says courage. And there's a picture of the Grand Canyon and it says integrity. I like that. I don't mind that. But Darren, rough home life. Darren's got a single mom. She's working multiple jobs. Darren's father is in prison for racketeering. He messed up in a big way. Now Darren's paying the price. Doesn't have a father figure. Darren does not. Because any kid who's a hall monitor who had any sort of self-respecting father would take their child aside and be like, dude, don't be such a fucking dope. Like, you need to practice some things. People will like you if you are interesting. People will not like you if you tell on them all the time. People don't like tattletales. You're not going to get invited to a lot of parties, Darren. That's what Darren's father would have told him had he not been in prison for racketeering. But that's Darren for you. And Darren has grown up. I feel like there's just an army of Darrens out there. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the woke mob, the adult hall monitors, who seem to never run out of juice. They just don't. I was surprised to read that I think we're at 90 full days and nights of sustained riots in various cities around the country. That seems like a long time. That seems like an awfully long time. But I've been thinking about this for a while now. These non-athletes, these Darrens, how do they do it? How do they have the energy? What is their secret to having such enthusiasm? Is that what we want to call it? Perhaps. What is the diet of Darren? Dietbydarren.com. What does that look like? Craft everything. That's right. This morning I woke up and I had some Kraft oatmeal to go with my Kraft cruelty-free coffee. Ethically sourced celery juice. No animal testing there for Darren. Darren is not about that. Is that what's giving him the energy? Is it the celery juice? No, check that. Darren drinks V8. I think that's the secret to the woke. I think a serious longitudinal study needs to be executed to figure out what keeps these people's fuel reserves so topped up, and I think it's V8. I think it's the spicy V8. That makes sense to me. But yeah, how do these people not run out of gas just being pissed all the time and being emotional train wrecks? It doesn't make any sense to me. Because I think you've got the real activists who are like, all right, we're going to do this methodically. We're going to try to get some things done, temper our expectations. We want some things to happen, but let's be realistic about it. But then you have Darren, an army of Darrens who are, what are they, smoking craft meth? Is that how they're getting their juice? Yeah, you just got to cannonball some ethically sourced meth with a V8 and you're pretty much good to go for the day. Maybe even the week. Right? How do these Darrens do it? Was Darren watching the DNC convention or was he out raging? Was he out dismantling patriarchy, one brick through a window heaved at a time? Do you think Darren's father's out of prison for the racketeering thing? Could be. Maybe not, though. Probably pretty serious. Racketeering. It's kind of a bummer that we've got like adult hall monitors, isn't it? It is, right? These people that just live. They get off on tattling. It's like, oh, geez. Maybe you get some other interests. Maybe like, I don't know, go to a party or something. Maybe you ride a bicycle, Darren. You ever thought about that as opposed to scanning Twitter archives? You ever thought about that instead of maybe looking into people's MySpace history? Because that's what guys like Darren do. If they're not taking it to the streets, post smoking meth and drinking V8, they are taking it to the computer, post meth and V8, because the input's the same, the output changes depending on how Darren's feeling. Because one day Darren's a keyboard warrior, the next day he's riding a unicycle, wearing a vest and a fedora, and still on meth, obviously, but like trying to get chicks, and just unicycle fedora vest guy Darren going up to some gal and being like, hey, I call people racist on the internet pretty much all day. You want to go out? And I don't know how that plays. Maybe those guys are getting a ton of tail. Maybe they are. Maybe there are females who are like, wow, I like your brand. Is that bicycle seat ethically sourced? Cruelty free? That's a big selling point. I was chatting with a buddy of mine the other day, and I was like, what the hell is going to happen with all this wokeness? Seems like it was like maybe well-intentioned in the beginning, but boy, is it out of hand now. Boy, is it completely off the rails. Yeah. Well, how's it going to play out? And this guy's a sharp fella. He says, oh, don't worry about it. It's self-correcting. And I'm like, but what does that look like? And he's like, well, it's going to be messy, but it's self-correcting. And I'm like, well, I see that playing out like two ways. I don't have to worry about Darren having kids because there's no way Darren's going to have kids. Darren has bought the whole idea, hook, line, and sinker, that him having a single child will destroy the Earth's climate in a big way. So he got a vasectomy at 22 years old. Tied up the tubes. Good job, Darren. So you don't have to worry about Darren having Darren Jr.'s. Little DJ, little Deej hitting the scene. But it seems as though these kids, these Darrens, they continue consuming very aggressive amounts of V8 and meth. Definitely meth. I think that's one of the most important pieces of their diet, if you want to call it such a thing. It's a smoothie with celery juice and meth, Kraft oatmeal, kale. Hi, the name's Darren. I call people sexist on the internet, and I'm single, so if you want to, like, I don't know, smoke meth behind a dumpster or something, yeah, just, what's your number? That's what Darren sounds like. That's what Darren sounds like. Adult hall monitors. We've got them. There used to be really rock solid bullies in the world who would step up and beat the shit out of hall monitors, stuff them in a locker and be like, you're on timeout, Darren. Yeah, can we just get like I don't know, some bully named like Hector or Clyde to take a Darren and throw him in a locker? Just be like, cool off, Darren, you meth head. It's bad, right? It's bad. The only people I want smoking meth are truckers, loggers, woodsmen, and bikers, Harley riders. That's what I want. I want them smoking meth. Stay focused. Motorcycles can be dangerous. Darren doesn't respect motorcycle riders at all. He's a one-wheel kind of guy. He's a unicycle guy. We already went over this. Let me just tell you about a couple other key things about Darren, because all these things are worth mentioning, because Darren's a serious guy, I guess. Darren doesn't go to Chick-fil-A. He doesn't. You know why. Oh boy, do you know why he hates Chick-fil-A, right? Darren, big fan of the Soviets. Big fan of the hammer and sickle. That's it. He's trying to grow a mustache so he can be like Joe Stalin. He's got very, very well-established power fantasies of how he would run things if given the opportunity. But since he can't grow a proper mustache, it's never going to happen for him. If you want to be a dictator, you got to have a mustache. You want to know how I know that Trump isn't a dictator? No mustache. You look back in the 20th century, right? Stalin, mustache. Hitler, mustache. Mussolini, mustache. Francisco Franco, de España, mustache. If you can't grow a mustache, Darren, sorry, pal, but you're just going to keep smoking meth and riding the unicycle and you're never going to amount to a whole lot. You know, I've seen products out there on the internet that say, do you want to grow a thicker beard? Then rub needles on your face until it happens for you. Darren buys those things all the time. If he catches an ad that will help him up his mustache game, you better believe he's going all in on that. Darren's house is a mess. It's full of mustache enhancement kits. Tons. Not a single one has worked, though. Maybe if he stopped smoking meth, he would discontinue ripping his mustache hairs out one by one, but he's not piecing that together. He's not. Remember, Darren wasn't a big scholar growing up, and therefore he didn't grow up into an adult who was a big, cause and effect kind of guy to see like, oh, if I do this now in the future, it will have consequences. That's not Darren, okay? Don't force him. Don't railroad Darren into being some stiff who plans for the future. Darren read a book once about being present, and he's into it. Okay? Do you understand? Here's the deal. Truth be told, I think there's some Darrens out there who just have rage. They don't necessarily consume meth. They probably do, but not as much as Darren. They're kind of like Darren Light. Diet Darren. DietDarren.com. We already kind of mentioned dietbydarren.com in the beginning of this episode. Kyle, it was Diet by Darren, and now we've graduated to Diet Darren. Thank goodness these guys aren't reproducing. Thank heaven. We don't have a bunch of just... Can you imagine a guy named Darren having twin sons and naming both of them Darren? And it's just a triple threat. Papa Darren, son Darren, double Darren. And boy, would they take that to an extreme level. Be like, I double dare and you to do this. I double dare and you. Can you imagine an identical set of Darrens going out, taking it to the streets? That's a law enforcement nightmare. You're trying to catch one Darren, and you do. And just as you think you've got the perp, around the corner pops out. What's that? Another really weak mustached Darren who's like, here I am. And then the Darren who is in custody escapes. Twin Darrens. They've got an objective, and that's bashing the fash. Even though they're very pro-establishment, they like big corporations. That's it. These middle school hall monitors, they really found a way to replicate the power structure of middle school. These large corporations are now Darren's assistant vice principal, Dion Stanley, who always wore hiking boots and never went on a hike. Do you see the parallels there? You must, right? We all see it, right? We all see it. You're a sharp individual. You can't miss it. Yeah. So I think all these things are going to be self-correcting. But ultimately, there's a couple things that need to happen. We need Hector or Clyde right? Because I'm fine with Hector and Clyde teaming up to take on the Darrens because it's a law enforcement nightmare. We might need some vigilante justice. Hector, Clyde, let's get some big fucking bullies to take these guys out and sit them down and be like, just slap the crack pipe or the meth pipe out of their hand and just be like, dude, stop smoking craft meth. Just because it's craft doesn't mean it's casual. Pop the unicycle wheels. Clyde, pee on the fedora. Hector, please, for all of us. Maybe that's just what needs to happen. Because I feel like you've got a lot of people who are very irritated by the highly vocal and very unimpressive woke Darrens of the world. Boy, what a social burden these people are. And the fact that they have a platform amplified to be like, I'm the homeowner and nothing's fucking going the way I wanted to. It's like, Darren, of course. That shouldn't surprise you. Your dad's in jail. Still, for racketeering. Twin brother, pair of unicycle jerks cruising around in your fedoras, juggling bowling pins. You cut it out, man. Cut it out. Because truth be told, I feel like there's this increased sentiment of wanting to, a lot of people just being like, I could really punch guys named Darren in the throat. And it's going to be hard to convince people to not do that. I see that things are escalating and that the Darrens have been pushing their luck. But I'm not a big violence kind of guy. I'm not. I don't think we should handle Darren in a violent way, but we should pee on his hat and pop his unicycle wheel and take his bowling pins back to the bowling alley and be like, Darren, those weren't yours to take. Do you understand, Darren? That's theft. That's theft. I don't know what we're going to do with all the Darrens after this thing kind of like smooths out, because call me a moron, but I'm still highly optimistic that eventually, Fauci, who is a total Darren, will get kind of taken aside by Hector or Clyde and be like, tell the people that you've been trying to hook up with Assistant Vice Principal Dion Stanley or equivalent Fauci. Fess up right now. And then he's going to say it. He's going to be like, yeah, I tried to do her. And you can kind of fill in all these parallels. They exist. Some of you are scratching your head right now and you're saying, I'm not following, I'm not tracking. I would really like it if you'd fill in the blanks for me here. What you're doing right now feels lazy, kind of. And what I'll say to that is, I need you to engage your imagination. It's such a cop-out to put it back on me, the guy who's just telling you about Darren. What do we do about it? What do we do about it? When this is all said and done, Darrens are making a mess, right? Let me just put this in a for instance. If I walked into your house and I threw poo everywhere and lit some drapes on fire, smashed some windows, and beat the shit out of your dad, would you invite me back over? Would you? Because I would imagine you wouldn't. A lot of you right now are thinking, well, you're in the wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. And that's what I'm saying, yes, that's my point exactly. That is not proper conduct. So these sorry excuse for a mustache toting unicyclists, what are we going to do with them? You say like, hey, you're out. If it were a house party, I wouldn't let Darren back in after the crap he's been pulling. Have you ever had a house party and a bunch of people were on meth showed up? This has never happened to me. Meth, not really big in the circles that I run in, but I kind of want to be like, no. Get out of here, Darren. Get out of here. Hard pass. Yeah, we're all in this together, allegedly, right? That's what they say. Like, yeah, we're all on the same team here. And then you got people showing up to the party, high on meth, unicycling around, and wearing masks, and they're maybe twins. And so you're like, which Darren was that? And they're both named Darrenson. Like, which Darren was that? And one of them pops out behind the couch and be like, maybe it was me. And then another one pops out from behind the island in the kitchen and you'd be like, it could have been me too. And ultimately it's like, I'm going to need anyone on meth who has committed any kind of serious offense in the house to get out of the party. We're going to need you to leave. You ever been at a party where somebody's gotten kicked out because they were making a mess or they were yelling too much or Lord knows what? You know what happens? The rest of the party stops and they cheer for Clyde and Hector. They say, hell yeah, remove Darren from the party. Both of them, all of them. And they just pee in Darren's fedora and then they put it on his head. They say, get the hell out of here. And he says, what? This is BS, man. And it's like, Darren, you had to have known that this was coming, right? You had to have known. You pissed all over the couch. You're pissing all over your entire community, Darren. So how do we have an early intervention program for Darrens? Because I think there's going to be some Darrens that get kicked out of the party, right? In today's day and age, the goings on of the here, the now. How do we address the hall monitors of the right now and be like, listen, we're going to want to make sure that you don't grow up as a complete tool. So we're going to need you to explore things like sports, arts and crafts, hobbies, friendship, reading, anything. We just can't have you growing up being spiteful and resentful about everything in the world and then trying to take it out on anybody who's remotely successful. Darren, that's no way to live. You can't move through life high on craft, anger. Do you get it, Darren? So yeah, if you see a kid cruising around who's just like a complete boner, who's like, hey, you can't do that, saying that to like another kid, you might want to just take the kid aside and be like, hey, Darren, can I have a word with you? And then the kid's going to obviously be pretty surprised to be like, how'd you know my name was Darren? And it's like, that's not the point. But stop heckling your peers about stupid shit. It's very hard to like you, Darren. You tell this to a child and be like, you need to learn this right now, Darren, or it's over. But yeah, that's DarbyCast. That's Economics Wednesday. And you're saying, was that really related to economics? And I'm saying, you tell me. Boom, gotcha. DarbyCast, Economics Wednesday.